All right, welcome to the Carbcast podcast. I am Oli,
Only what?
Oli Carbajal, as in
Only
Carbcast.
Carbajal.
Yeah, there we go. Carbajal.
Yeah. And I'm Emilio Carbajal, Big Papa Pump.
Big Papa Pump.
And this is our cast. Let's do it.
Yep. All right, so the topic for today is going to be on tattoos and tattoos history and experiences and all that kind of good stuff. So would you like to start out with just what you got going on, like what your experiences are with it?
Yeah. So let me think. Well, how about we start with your first tattoo from me?
Yeah, which is it's the one behind my right ear, correct?
The only good one.
The only good one. I don't know. There's a couple that are pretty good.
Yeah. And that's the hand with the rose, right?
No, that's the other side of my ear. That was a little later.
Oh.
The one on the right ear is it's a logo for an album titled Everybody by Logic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the first one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the first one, and it was my second tattoo ever.
Oh, I think I was pretty nervous on that one.
Well, I would assume so. You're tattooing your son for the first time.
Yeah. I think the one on my left arm that looks like, you remember the logo from not Fast and Furious, the Vin Diesel movie?
Oh, Triple X?
Triple X.
Yeah.
It looks like that, but it has, so it's supposed to be EOE.
EOE.
Yeah, EOE. So me, Oli, and your brother, Emilio.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't even...
Oh, really?
I don't even know. I can't picture that in my head. I can picture, like, you have the Triple X tattoo.
No, it's not the Triple X, but it's really, really similar to that. That was what the idea was behind it.
I'll have to look.
It's kind of got flames coming off of it. Kind of like I don't think the Triple X had flames, but
it might.
That was my first tattoo experience, and my first, like, not everybody's a tattoo artist,
yeah.
Even though they own a shop.
That's pretty funny. So, I never noticed that. It just looks like 3 X's to me from what I've seen.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's the first one. I think it cost me like $100. And that was back. Well, let's see. Probably. Well, you had to have been a kid, baby. At least a baby, because you.
It would, at the very least, because it's Blake's as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it would have been at the very least 2003?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Yep.
That's
Isn't that crazy?
Time away. Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, so that's my first.
And how old were you when you got that?
2003? I don't know. I don't know math. Hold on a second. Let me do the math.
Like 21 or something like that?
No. Oh, yeah, maybe. That's pretty close because I was 19 when you were born.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's still math in that. I don't know.
We'll just say around 21, 22, that area. Yeah, I got you beat on that. My first one is the semicolon on my wrist, and I think I was 15 or 16 when I got that.
Yep.
And then the one you did on me came shortly after, probably. Actually, it might have been like 2 years after. Yeah, probably around.
Yeah, I think
so.
Yeah. Well, So that's my first, and my first for tattooing you.
Hmm.
I think my first tattoo I've ever done. And I don't remember. I doubt you remember him. It's your mom's cousin, but I almost want to say it's a second cousin. Anyway, Superman was a big thing back then. I don't know if you remember or have seen the old Superman logo where it's like bursting out of the skin.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, super big thing back, probably 2015. No, let's see, wait a minute. No,
It would have been early 2000s.
yeah, early 2000. Yeah, I was gonna say because I went to work at the prison in 2007, so it had to have been around 2007 because I seen the inmates making tattoo machines, and that's what got me going. Um, because I was like, well, if they have nothing and I have access to stuff, why can't I make one? So I made one out of I don't remember what motor it was. I don't know if it was a CD player. Do you remember what a CD player is?
Yes, I grew up with all the same stuff.
No, you didn't.
I know all the VHS CD players. I know how to work a rotary
Okay.
phone. I saw
Okay.
music on MTV. I'm still, you know.
Oh, speaking of all that, oh yeah, MTV. Oh yeah. Speaking of that, I just went to a yard sale and they had a old cassette. I almost wanted to buy it. I might end up with it tomorrow. An old cassette recorder. Like if
Oh
you watch
yeah.
any of the like old movies where they they go into what do they call it? Like they're investigating somebody and they're like, all right, and they push the two buttons and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
where were you at this time? Da da da. That it was like that. I was like that. That thing's super cool. Like that's vintage.
That's vintage. Yeah, it is at this point.
But yeah, back to the motors. Um, I think I came across those pictures somewhere at one point. Oh, I think your mom gave them to me. I
Yeah,
might even
I
have them.
think we found them and we gave them back.
Yeah. So you know which ones I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
I used pen ink
Mhm.
and just a terrible needle. I don't even know what the needle was. Had I don't have guitar strings, so it had to have been something. Actually, I want to say it was even just like a sewing needle,
Mhm.
but I don't know. But that was, I mean, even though the ink didn't stay, I'm sure he still has a scar.
Well, I bet so.
Because it was like, why isn't this ink going in? Just chisel that shit in. Still wouldn't
Just
stay.
stabbing him basically. So
Yeah.
you
Oh
made
yeah.
basically what the prisoners were making at the same time, right?
Yeah, and I mean, even having, which is funny because I was like, well, if they can do it with nothing, you know, their little CD players or, yeah, they were using dental floss to hook the motor the um to the tube and stuff like that. Um, I'm like, man, I got glue and I got tape, and mine was so much worse than theirs. It just fell apart. I wish I would have kept it,
Yeah, that would have
but
been cool. I looked up some pictures and they do look pretty sophisticated.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's pretty impressive. Like I see there's it's a pen, like a ballpoint pen tube with a needle
yep,
going through it, and there's just like a rotary motor on it, and it kind of just
yep.
pushes it through.
So what they've been doing recently, they take the tube that holds the ink
Mhm.
and they pull them apart, which stretches it,
Yeah.
and then it breaks. And that stretched part, um,
Is sharp.
act, yeah, it acts like the needle tube.
Okay.
So it guides the needle better than what they used to do, where it was just they would take and I don't know how they did it, but they removed the ball out of the ball pin
Yeah.
and they'd use that. But these ones they stretch them out until it breaks, and then you got a nice clean long. tapered needle tube.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, but even like the last stuff, well, so a couple of years ago, they started changing stuff up on how they built their machines, and I always told them like, you know, you guys have the knowledge, and people are making stuff, and I mean, yes, they have access to materials, but you kind of have the same access, just not a high quality. Um, but like, you guys know what a magnum is, or a shader, especially a shader, like a 7 round or a 9 round or whatever. Like, there's no reason you guys can't solder up a 9 round. You know, it'd be difficult, but
thicker lines and
yeah.
stuff like that.
So here in the past probably year, I've been coming across. Well, for you that don't know, I work at the prison. I've come across mag shaders, probably like, and it's usually like a 2-row, like 10 mag, and then the real common one, because it's a lot easier to do, is like, I'd say like a 9 or 10 mag or a round shader, and the same thing. They use a dental floss. They just cut their guitar strings shorter and just sharpen those each individual ones, and then wrap dental floss around them, around the main shaft, and that's how they get their round shaders.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So I just want to go over. Most people obviously don't know kind of what you're talking about. So a round shader or a round liner is basically just a group of needles tightly packed together in like a circle or a round formation, and that's how you get like thicker lines, thicker shading lines, and stuff like that. And then the mag is basically multiple needles lined up in a line, but basically like offset and behind each other a little bit, correct?
Yeah,
and like a flat, kind of looking like a comb, and that's how they do their shading.
Yes.
Yeah. Just wanted to clarify that.
Kind of like combs. Yeah, combs stacked together.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
So it allows for more surface area.
Yes.
Anyway.
Which is easier to put more ink in. Easier to shade. You're not spending as much time tearing up the skin trying to put ink in. Which has been nice. I mean, like some of the stuff we've been doing. Well, one of the last few I've done, like the curved mags. I had a huge problem with mags because I'd always catch that easy corner.
Yeah.
But the curved mags, you don't catch that corner, so you're able to kind of do a sweeping motion but still at an angle. But I mean, all the technology now, motors now are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I have a rotary machine, so everything's all contained in just basically like a fat little cylinder instead of like.
So rotary to me is insane because one, to me it's I don't know. I don't think it has the same impact. I don't think it's as aggressive as a coil machine. So a coil machine, again, explain kind of the difference. A rotary machine is a motor that spins in a circle but has a cam that's offset. So I don't know if I just made that more difficult,
I think you did. It has to be explained pretty simply. I mean, coil machines are, when you think of a tattoo gun or a tattoo machine, coil machines are basically like the first thing people think of, where it's like you hold on to a part and like there's two coils in the back which make the machine move, and that kind of like set off and looks like a big fat like basically like an upside down L with the bottom of it being fatter, and that's what a
Yeah.
coil machine is. It's
Yeah.
really cool how it
Uh,
works, but yeah, I want to keep it simple as
Yeah, and
possible.
honestly, I don't even. I mean, I kind of get the gist of
Yeah,
how it works.
yeah,
Um, Magnetic and electricity, and it hits and breaks. Yeah,
yeah.
I
It's
should know it
they're
better
super cool.
than what I do.
Yeah, I mean we both probably should, but they're super cool. Old stuff. Um, and now like I said, I have the rotary ones. Uh, they're pretty new and they're getting pretty crazy with like their own battery packs on them, so their own power supply. You can take them wherever. But they're all
They're
contained into
super
one big
smooth.
fat. Yeah, they're
Yep.
super smooth, super quiet, so you don't get that classic tattoo machine like machine sound. That's it's just yeah.
That part kind of sucks, but at the
Hmm.
same time, like I use that rotary. I don't know if it was yours or your brother's, but I used it on his tattoo,
Hmm.
and like I mean, you've seen it. I was it was definitely darker than I wanted it to be, but so much more smoother. Like my lines were cleaner,
Hmm.
the shading was way
There's
cleaner. It was so much nicer to use it. It was just so. I mean, the old style. There was a lot of back weight. You
hmm.
know.
And I mean,
Um,
on the old style, like there's noticeable moving parts, and you can feel the vibration a lot more in it
yep.
than on a rotary. They just
Yep.
kind of cleaned up everything, made it a little more ergonomic, a little better for your hands and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that was another thing is how it was set up. Everything was kind of stacked, so it wasn't off center. So you're not trying to
Hmm.
fight. Like you're tired. Your arm, your hand would get tired quicker
Hmm.
on the coil ones. I mean, I know there's gonna be people that are like, oh, whatever. But as much as we tattoo,
Yeah,
um,
and I mean, just for an example, I was uh, preparing for this. I was watching a documentary on Ed Hardy, which is one of like the
oh
OG
yeah,
like crazy, like they call him the
absolute OG.
godfather of tattooing. He changed the game, but he was talking about in that documentary how um, tattooing has really messed up his hands a lot, so he quit doing it. And I assume it's due to that coil machine just being so weird and heavy and odd in different places. I bet you if he was doing it with a rotary, it probably wouldn't have as much impact on his hands.
Is he still alive?
To my knowledge, he is. That documentary I
I
saw was
think he
posted
is.
2 years ago.
Yeah. Honestly, I bet you he could grab one of them rotaries and tattoo again.
I bet you he said that he
Like that.
stopped tattooing for like 10 years now, but I bet you he could. He can definitely
That
pull it off.
documentary is super super cool. I watched it a while
Yeah.
back, uh, and like the just that whole scene back then in the '80s.
Mhm.
I mean, everything was like just opened the doors to everything. Him, um, I can't think of any at the top of my head, but there was just so many guys that just kind of stepped out of the boundary
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just it blew up.
Yeah, I mean just to kind of tell the listeners like about it. Back when a lot of the old school guys, the guys that would do like sailor tattoos and stuff like that, and one of them
Yep.
is Sailor
Yep.
Jerry, or what is his
Yep.
name? Colin Norman. But he's known as Sailor Jerry. He's an OG in the tattoo industry. But basically,
Oh, okay.
yeah, he basically tattoos at that time were flash tattoos. So put up a bunch of
Yep.
they put up a bunch of designs, small little designs on the wall, and you'd pick from that design, and that's just how tattoos were for 30, 40, 50 years. And then when Ed Hardy and a lot of those guys kind of started opening their own shops and doing their own things, they kind of took people's input and said, "Hey, I want so and so. Can you do that for me?" And he'd do that instead of just being like, "Those are the designs on the wall. Pick from there." And that's why they were such a big
Yeah.
impact on the tattooing industry across America and I assume across the world.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Because you went from uh, the dollar menu, like, hey, I want the cheeseburger for $2.99
And you went
or
over to like
whatever.
Subway, and you can create your own.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And I remember going to, I think it was my first tattoo. I was looking through, and they had the menu boards. Oh, there's a
Hmm.
bee flying around me. Oh, motherfucker. Get away from me. They had like, I don't know what you would call them, but like a menu board where you could flip through it, and I guess menu is more food, but you could flip through it, and it was flash art, and next to each one of them was a price for $80, and. Uh, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and that's a
just opening it up to like, hey, I can do a little. Let me be creative. Let me change it up just a little bit. Let's do something else. And I think that's really what kind of popped it off is, um, hey, we can do. We don't have to be stuck to these certain menus. Like you're saying, like Subway, where I can make it how I want to. But here's the basis of it. I want a BLT, but I want to add everything to it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the best way to kind of summarize it is just using that. Um,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's a really big thing for like a really strange or weird concept for a lot of people my age and even younger, where they come into a tattoo shop and they know what they want and they just tell them and they kind of get what they want. But a lot of
Mhm.
tattoo shops are kind of bringing back the whole like, oh, we do have this flash art, you can walk in and get it. Or I see a lot of them do like mystery tattoos, which I think are super cool. You don't know what you're getting, you just pay for it and they give it to you. And I think that's
Oh,
really cool.
really?
Yeah, yeah, they have like little gumball machines. You
Do
pay
it?
you pay for it, you put it in, and you just random.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's kind of cool. I kind of like that idea. I mean, I don't know.
I I like it.
Well, I mean, I got a lot of random tattoos that
Mm.
are pretty much the same thing. Just like, hey, we're having a good time. Let's go tattoo. I got quite a few of them.
Yeah,
So
let's
yeah, I mean, I
tattoo
get.
something cool.
Well, they never turn out cool, but they're definitely memories.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's like a big part of tattooing that people kind of get lost on is that it's not obviously the look of it is cool and you want it to look nice, but a lot of the thing for tattooing for me is like making memories or just being able to tell a story behind it.
Hmm.
Or the coolest thing for
Hmm.
me, like in high school, was like, oh yeah, my dad did this tattoo on me. It was
Yep.
cool. They were like, oh really? Like that's interesting. And that's kind of tattooing for me is telling stories and bringing up
Yeah.
conversations rather than just showing
Yeah.
off cool art.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, some of the stuff I've been seeing, like on Instagram and stuff like that, where like the realism, holy
Yeah,
cow,
they're getting pretty good.
insane. Love it.
Hmm.
But I still absolutely love what, like you just said right now, the 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 story behind it. Yeah, maybe it's a shitty tattoo, but I
Hmm.
don't care. My dad tattooed me, or um, you know, I have. Oh, I don't even know how many I have that I'm looking. I'm looking.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm looking. I have
just
so
the.
many. Like I have probably you,
Hmm.
um, Giovanni. There's a couple guys from work. I have you, your brother. Well, all your siblings
Yeah.
on my arm.
And we just to tell the listeners, we as like kids did those tattoos on him. He handed us a tattoo machine and was like, write your name on me, and
Yep.
that's even cooler than just getting like your child's name by a tattoo artist or doing it yourself. I think it's even cooler.
Yeah, and so I get a lot of like, and that was, I don't know. I don't know where I came up with the idea. Well, I think because everybody at the time was doing the handprint,
Hmm.
and the footprint.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everybody's doing that. So what can I do that still represents my kids? I want to show that off, but I don't want to be. And I think a lot of them now, you look at them, they're just a black
Yeah.
handprint and a black footprint.
Because they didn't put.
You don't see
they
you
didn't
don't
pay
see
the
the
money.
cool parts. Yeah.
They didn't pay the
Yeah,
money for a
absolutely.
good tattoo, so it kind of turned into a blob.
So I was like, you know what can I do different? And I was like, screw it, I have the machine and let you guys do it. And your handwriting and like, see, who is it?
Yeah, like
Maddox?
no stencil or anything, just write your name.
No. One of my favorites, well, they're all my favorite, but Lex, I was able to capture her name, how she did it, when she wrote her name, and I don't remember what age she was, but her ex, she used to write him as a T.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of a slanted T.
Yeah, it's kind
but
of
it wasn't an
a
X.
mixture of both of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was able to capture that. Let's see, who else?
Yeah, and that's kind of something that I think that's such a cool idea, and being in tattoos and doing it myself, I think that's probably something, if I ever get to the point where I have children, is something that I'd like to do as well.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it's such
absolutely.
a cool idea. It would be cool to start a tradition just to get your kids to kind of tattoo their name on yourself. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
And I like that.
Well, and, yeah.
I like it a lot more than how you brought up everybody was getting one thing at the time, and I'm a strong kind of I have a strong opinion on people getting the same exact tattoos all the time. I mean, I was on this topic today with my girlfriend when I was researching this stuff, and I was like, there's like 5 tattoos, and you'll see them on just a white man. They all have the same 5 variations of the tattoo, and it's just so boring and dumb to look at. It's like, yeah, congratulations, you spent $300 on the same tattoo as Steve next door. And I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, that's the kind of thing that we need to stray out of the box. Obviously, tattoos look great. If they look great, you like it, whatever. But I think tattoos need to be a little more unique than they are nowadays.
Well, so I think that goes back again. I really quickly hit on it, and then I want to go to back to the just kind of unique, but like the menu board tattoos. So, but like for me, I see. Oh man, I can't think of his name. What? I'm butchering his name. Paul. The musician. He has a tattoo. The faces on it. Or
I have no idea.
Paul. I don't want to say Paul Walker. Anyway.
Yeah.
I just butchered that. He's like not a rapper, but anyway, he has like tattoos all over his face, and all of the tattoos are just pretty much like mine, just random.
Oh,
stuff.
are you talking about Post Malone?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Post Malone. He has
so...
tons of tattoos all over the place. That was off by a lot.
Oh, I said Paul Walker, didn't I?
Yeah, you did Paul.
The fucking Fast and Furious guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so far out. Okay. Well, there was a P in there somewhere.
Anyway, Post Malone and his face tattoos.
Yeah, and even him and I want to say Jelly Roll. He's got that cross under his eye.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that stuff is jail, prison stuff. But it kind of goes back to the same thing as like what I have and what you have, just the random, but it means something, It may not look good, but there's a story behind it.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
a lot of people will be like, "Hey, I got this tattoo. Remember so and so."
yeah,
Those are kind of cool, but
I think yeah, they're it's kind of a
like,
I don't want to put hate on it,
mhm,
but it's kind of like
yep,
that's like the thing people do when they lose a loved one
mhm,
or they, something
yep,
goes wrong. They just, oh, let me go get a tattoo for them, which it's great. I
yep,
don't want to put any hate on it, but it is kind of like the thing. And it's not like they
yep,
get like a unique tattoo to like commemorate them or anything like that. They always get like the kind of same thing where it's like their name or like their face and that kind of thing,
yep,
and it's just kind of it's a little overplayed. I feel bad for saying it that way, but it is.
yeah, absolutely. Me too. I don't want to like downgrade it at all. To to me, um, the shitty tattoos are like one of them. I don't even remember which one it is. I think it's on my elbow, and it's like just a glob of shit. But I still remember the night like it was yesterday. Um, Me and my buddy were. I don't even remember what I tattooed on him. I think I tattooed him and our other buddy, and then I was like, "Hey." I think I had a stencil already drawn up, and I mean, obviously we were drinking, but um, I'm like, "Do this one on me," and he's like, "Oh yeah," and just started digging into my skin. And I'm pretty sure I
It's
think it's the
scarred
one
up.
on the back of my tricep. Oh yeah, it like I was done. I was so tired and everything, and I was falling out of the chair, sleeping. And I mean, it's not the greatest tattoo, but I still remember that. Like that memory is just,
Yeah, ingrained. It's like there with the tattoo.
yeah, it's not like this. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
like we were talking.
just just like that. I mean, most of my favorite tattoos are from you, just because they're cool and they're fun. And the last one you did on me, which is my last tattoo as well. I mean, how many times can you get to say that your dad tattooed you with a broken hand?
Oh yeah.
And like, I mean, it's 95% done, but I don't even know if I want to finish it just because it's like, oh, you have an unfinished tattoo. Why is that? And it's like, oh, because my dad
Yep.
couldn't finish it because he had a broken hand.
Yep.
And
No,
yeah, that's what I like a
absolutely. Like
lot.
that to me, and I really think going back again to like the sailors, the
Hmm.
back in the old days, I
Yeah.
really feel like that's kind of what it was. It wasn't so much of, well, it probably got kind of to a part where it was, um, oh, you can handle the pain, you're a
Hmm.
badass. But it was. I mean, there's some superstition behind it too.
Yeah. This is a perfect
The
segue into
pigs
kind of
in
the
the
research
crate
that I've
and
been
the.
doing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
hit it.
you can continue with your thought, but I have a whole list of kind of things that I mean,
No, go at it.
I think it's the
I
perfect
want to hear it.
time. I mean, tattoos throughout time have always been about like spiritual reasons or these like deep
Hmm.
memorable things and religious and things like that. And I mean,
Yep.
just to start off with a cool little fact is like the first tattoo that was ever discovered to be on a person was on a mummy called Otzi the Iceman, and they discovered that he died around 3,300 BC. And I mean, if tattoos can date that far back, they're just like something so great about them that I mean I don't even know how to portray other than the fact that they've stood the test of time and been there forever.
Well, really, really quick, without going any too deep
Hmm.
into that,
Yeah,
just think about how, like, my first tattoo that I did, I used ink, pen
yeah,
ink,
penny.
and it would not stain. Right.
Hmm.
So going back 3,000 years, they were able, and how they figured it out is super, super cool part for me.
Yeah,
How they figured out what to use that would stick in the skin and stay in the skin.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna kind of look it up so that we can kind of figure it out. Oh, right here. Charcoal, ash, and varying materials to make colors as well. So, I mean, charcoal and
Colors.
ash, that that stuff is pretty. I mean, apparently it's safe enough to put in the skin, but yeah, they would mix that stuff with, say, I mean, I heard about this while doing. I did my senior project on tattoos as well, and I remember searching it up, and they would use like blueberries mixed with this charcoal, and it'd give it a deep dark blue color.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, I
and
want it
just
done.
yeah,
Let's do it.
I know it's super cool. I mean, it might not look great, but once again,
Who
it's part of
cares?
the
I want to
thing.
try it.
It's cool, and I mean, I assume their methods of inserting the ink is the same as these like tribal kind of regions where they still use a stick with a giant needle on the end of it and they smack it into the
Like
skin one at a time, like boom, boom, boom,
like
boom.
Hawaiians and stuff.
I don't know if they do it like that. I think they have like they might have something similar, but there's different methods all over the world. I was thinking of more like an
Well,
Asian country.
the Hawaiians do that. Well, and they do. Asians do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like a stick with some barbs on the end, and they sit there and tap at it.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I think that would be more painful than um, even like a coil machine.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
speaking of painful,
it does seem pretty bad.
just really, really quick, and we can go back to what we were talking about. What's your most painful tattoo?
Ooh, I don't know. A lot of them are kind of like I'm pretty okay with pain. I think the last one that you did on me was pretty painful to my like remember like my memory.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously I remember them hurting, but I don't remember what kind of levels of pain they were. All I can say is that I know that the weirdest one was the one on my elbow because I was expecting it to be really, really painful, and there's like no pain receptors on that like the tip of your elbow area, so you can't even. There's no pain there. You just feel the needle
But it
vibrating.
vibrates through your elbow.
Yeah, you feel that. You feel it, but you don't feel like the pain. It's crazy.
All right, so going back to what you were just talking about,
Yeah, I mean,
how they made it, what they used color for,
yeah,
which is crazy,
right
like
here.
how they even make color.
Yeah, color is
tattoos.
insane. Right here, just an example of that. I looked up the Hawaiian kind of tattoo method, and apparently they were originally done with sharpened bones or shells that they tie to the end of a stick, and then do that.
And they were surgically cleaned.
Surgically, and yeah, that's another thing. Is like, I mean, this is another tangent, but I want to maybe quickly touch it now. I'm not sure if this is the best part for it, but I was talking about earlier. I had a little bit of a tangent going on or something where I was complaining about people saying that color doesn't stick in the skin and it doesn't last, or that tattoos will look bad when you're old. And I keep seeing these like all these great tattoo artists and all these people that have gotten professionally really great tattoos done, and that stuff, it stays. It looks great even when they're 80 years old. There's still color, there's still shape to it. You can see everything. It's just that people continuously got really bad tattoos, like probably in the 90s, and then now they have this stigma of, oh, my tattoo's gone, so they must disappear when I'm older. But things like these ancient tattoo styles, they don't go away.
No, and I think, I mean, you go from 3,000 years ago, which tattoos are more of, well, I don't know what they were, but I would say, well, I think all tattoos are a badge, but like a culture, this is where I rank or whatever. But going to like the 80s and 90s, it was a fashion. But even then, it was going back to the menu. It was, just a, hey, I got tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that got like, hey, I think like the punk rock type stuff really kind of influenced that kind of stuff. I mean, the Tom Hardy kind of stuff was
Ed
kind of punk
Hardy.
rockerish. Huh?
Ed Hardy. You said Tom Hardy.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, I
Maybe I
mean,
didn't mess that up.
I looked up the Otzi the Iceman tattoos, and it's a series of lines. Like he just has like there are three little lines stacked on top of each other, just like moving up his back, and then he also has like two little crosses, like little plus signs. But
So,
they're
and
obviously
I don't,
tattoos.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen it.
Hmm.
But again, like I was saying, well, I think I said it. They're kind of earned or badges, you
Yeah,
know.
they're
I think
spiritual
that a
and
lot of that.
religious and
Yep.
that kind of thing, and they have
But I
a
think
real
you
deep
really had
meaning.
to like do something and they're like tattooed and you're like, oh, and then like the next guy could see you and be like, oh, this guy has three lines.
Hmm.
He's he's just kind of badass, or
Yeah.
whenever he puts his grocery cart back when he's done.
Yeah. Or like the that reminds me of like fighter planes, how they put like their
Oh
kills and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that on
The
their
little markers.
yeah. That's what that kind of reminds me of.
Well, and all that's still tattoo.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
it's like you said, just marks and stuff like that. And this is again once another a great segue into something that I researched a little, and I feel like it's a little known now, but I still don't think people really realize that it existed, especially now with a lot of these people being gone and dead now. But
mhm.
I have right here written down in my notes that the Nazis they used to use tattoos to identify
Oh yeah.
Jews, like with stars of David's, and when they were in the concentration camps, they tattoo them with a number, and that's another thing. Like that's identification. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's two opposite spectrums of what we were kind of talking about, where one was like,
Absolutely.
oh, this guy's a battle war veteran or whatever, and he might get a
Yep.
tattoo for it. And then the other side
Yep.
of it's like, well, now these people were marked for shame and stuff like that during these times of the Nazis being in power.
Yep. That
There's
yeah, that's crazy too. I mean, you see some of that, and I know like right now, especially a lot of people are like, just bashing on history and whatnot, but and without getting too deep into it, I mean, you can really get into a
hmm
deep hole
hmm
in that, but um, I like just really quick without getting into it, like you could take the tattoos, which were I believe on their wrists, weren't they?
yeah, most often on their wrists because they're
Do you
pretty
remember what
visible.
wrist it was? It was left or right, or does I don't know that
A
really
picture
matters, but
comes into mind where it was on the left, but I'm not sure
yeah,
if it
that's
mattered.
that's what I was thinking too.
I
But
think it's on the left.
there's the technology now where they're putting markers in your arms, and it supposedly is like telling the doctor they can scan you and um, blood type and diseases and whatever conditions you have. But
Yeah.
all that like is so crazy just from. I mean, I'm sure they even went back further than that. Like just,
Yeah.
hey, you're well. What is that movie? Is it Gladiator? I want to say it's Gladiator.
Ooh, I don't know.
Maybe it's something else. I felt like there's a movie where they did the R. Oh, I know what movie. Never mind. Not that movie. But I think, no, actually on Gladiator, I know they did it because they branded him, which is still kind of the same thing as
hmm
a tattoo, a mark, like the Nazis did. Like, hey, this is where this guy stands. Um,
Yeah, kind of like showing it out there, out and stuff like that. It's kind of
you know,
crazy.
I'd like to see, and I know a lot of people like, um, Nazis and World War II and super negative, and it was. I mean, it was definitely was negative, and um, but there's a lot that came out of that too.
There's a lot that we learned as
Learned
a whole.
out of the negative.
hmm on how
Like
we
I
can
mean,
prevent
there's
it and how we can evolve.
well, how the Germans learned stuff that we've learned more from because they were willing to experiment and we weren't. Um, and
Yeah,
that's a
that's
whole another day.
yeah,
Um, but um, oh, I forgot where we were going with that.
yeah. I'm not sure.
The oh the trying to keep notes. The tattoo machines, like what did they look like?
Yeah, that's a
Where are
question
they
I
at?
have. Is I have no idea what tattoo machines would have looked like at the time. I mean, I'll look it up. 1940s tattoo machine. I assume they're coil, at least in some way.
I would assume the same thing, but then you got to run. Well, I'm sure they didn't care about pain.
No,
Um,
they were a little weird looking, but they're basically coil machines. Just slightly different orientation.
so something I've always wanted to get into um, is collecting old tattoo machines,
hmm
but they're so expensive.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, they're pretty crazy. I just wanted to kind of go back to the identification thing on tattoos and
Oh
um,
yeah, let's do it.
uh, just for example, I got a couple examples, but like one when tattoos first became really a thing, they were used by sailors to kind of show their
Yeah.
toughness and that kind of thing. And when they came back, like you'd
Yep.
be like, oh, that guy has a tattoo, he's a sailor. Like nobody else really had tattoos other than sailors and circus freaks.
Yep.
And yeah,
Which
that's another thing that's
like
cool.
circus freaks, like why did they do that? Like it's still an identification thing.
Uh, well, circus freaks are like, oh, this lady. There's a specific picture. I know she was in the circus, and she's like tattooed from head to toe, which is crazy at the time. Yeah, she's in a face tattoo. I'm pretty sure. But they were like, oh, nobody has tattoos, and this lady, she's crazy. She has all these tattoos. She's a freak because of purely because she had tattoos when nobody else did.
Yep.
And that,
Yep.
yeah, that's a crazy thing, and why that thing. But I also have obviously there's a lot more kind of
Oh yeah.
identification things, but another prevalent one I want to bring up is the Yakuza in Japan. Uh,
Oh.
yeah, Japanese in Japanese culture, tattoos are basically frowned upon because of the Yakuza and all
Oh,
this.
the
Yeah,
mafia.
the Japanese mafia they have these tattoos, and now it kind of scares people away from getting tattoos, and it's frowned upon because all these people that are committing crimes and dangerous people have these tattoos.
So I kind of think that. I mean, I know over there it's a lot. They're like more serious.
hmm
They're not. They're like. I mean, they'll go. Well, I don't know. I can't say, but
Yeah.
I think they're more like true gangbanger type. I think here a lot of the gangbangers use the tattoo to associate with gangs
hmm
just to kind of get that. I'm scared, but I really don't. I really don't. I'm just doing it to be a
To
part
fit
of the
in,
gang.
yeah, to fit in, be
Yeah,
accepted.
fit in. And the only reason I say that is because I do work at a prison.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Continue.
No, go ahead.
I figured out what the Nazis used for tattooing the Jews.
Oh, really? Oh, is
Uh,
it? I want to say a brand.
uh, kind of, not really, but first off, it was just on their left arm, from what I'm seeing. It doesn't
Oh,
have to
okay.
be on the wrist, but they basically think of it's like so it's obviously different numbers, and they just have these needles that are lined up in the shape of that number, and they dip it in the
Oh,
ink,
no
and then kind
way.
of just like slap it, hit it onto their thing, and it push the ink in.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
kind of cool, but still,
it's
I mean,
scary.
what it was used for
Yeah,
is
it's that's
shitty, but
awful. But it
yeah,
would be a
but that's
cool way
still
to
kind of cool.
kind of do a tattoo. I see what you're saying.
That's what I was wondering is like, I I feel like because they ran through them so quick,
Hmm.
which that
That
still
makes
sounds like
yeah.
shit. But I mean,
Oh
to
yeah,
mark that many people and have, I mean, I guess,
yeah. This is a
well, and
faster way of
I guess
doing
the only
it.
thing that I was thinking is because all the ones I've seen, they're really clean
Oh, it's not even. Oh,
marking.
they don't even punch like hit it. It's like a pair of pliers, and they stick the little needles in the top plier area, and then put it around the skin and press it down.
So like put it around the arm.
Yeah, like put it around the arm and then clamp down the pliers, and it puts the ink into the skin.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god. Yeah,
So,
that's awful.
um, still going with that.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like, and it may have been years ago or recent, there's only like a handful left that still have that mark.
Hmm. A lot of them have passed away at this point, just being old.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's only a handful of World War II vets still
Yeah,
alive
yeah, yeah.
too.
There's not a lot of people from that time.
They might even be less than a handful.
Yeah.
Which, that's something actually I'd like to get into too. Just World War II. And,
Yeah, we can do an episode on that. I love World War II, and I can talk about cool stuff from that time period all the time.
yeah, well, I mean, I think we can get really deep into that
Uh-huh.
because of your knowledge with weapons
Hmm.
and then just there's just so much more into that politics and what you guys went through and even the German and Nazi side or the well, yeah, German
Hmm.
and the Nazi side of it, the, SS because there was a German side of it. Well, I'm getting too far.
Yeah, I was like, you're
Um,
straying away from the topic.
yeah, yeah. So, going back, have you seen the tattooed cats and dogs?
Yes, that was crazy in the like the Mexican prisons or whatever. I think they're
Yes.
Mexican. They're
Damn
for
cartel.
those that don't know, they were they were bringing in cats. I don't know about dogs, but definitely cats into these prisons. They were smuggling them in, and then the prisoners would tattoo the cats with their gang affiliation tattoos and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
there was one that was specifically like rescued, and now it was adopted and in a good family now. But that's insane to me. Tattooing an animal.
Just traumatize that cat.
Yeah.
Is it one of those skin or hairless cats?
Yeah, it was. It was the gross cats.
Uh, they're so gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean he's got a cool tattoo. I guess.
He has a bunch of tattoos.
Don't mess with him. He's part of the cartel.
All right. So we're coming up on the end of this here. I just want to quickly like
Yeah.
cover a few things. I have a cool fact that I want to do before I finish it
Yeah.
off, but just something that like I know that not a lot of people know this, and it's just a really interesting, cool fact. But up until 1997, tattoos were illegal in New York. So a lot of the tattoo artists
Oh,
at the time,
really?
yeah, tattoos were illegal. I mean, you could have them, you just couldn't get them, or you couldn't do tattoos. So a lot of people would have like
Like
underground basements, yeah, like basically like prohibition kind of stuff, but for tattoos. That was
That
just
is
yeah,
so crazy.
crazy. 1997, like basically not even that long. Like what? A couple years, like 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's.
Not that long.
I
That's
mean
crazy.
that date just it's like you don't. You,
Yeah,
that date should seem like it was like
like
19 like
1940. or like
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
1970. Probably 1970 sounds
Yep.
better.
Yeah. Yeah. Like 1970 or 97 is that's crazy.
Yeah, it's on the cusp of it being like it's
So
just
I wonder
absolutely
what
insane.
I wonder if that's more gang related.
I'm not sure.
Like
Maybe because it was New York,
why
but
they enforce that?
yeah, I have no idea. I didn't do a whole lot of research into that, but
Yeah.
just because I was focusing on other stuff. But yeah, that was just something crazy that I knew and I had to bring it up.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that is crazy. Like it seems so new. I mean, everyone else was doing, and to me, it had to have been like gang related type stuff,
Probably,
but still crazy.
yeah, absolutely insane. Um, but yeah, to end this off, really, I just wanted to ask, what is your favorite style of tattoos? There's so many out there that like I don't think people realize how many styles of tattoos there are. So I thought I'd ask.
Oh, favorite style.
Hmm.
I would say, well, I like well, I don't know if it's called black and white or gray wash.
Hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of color at all.
Yeah.
Although what they're doing now with the realism stuff,
It's pretty
I think
insane.
it'd be pretty cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I'd still want it to be dark color.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, I think really going still back to the old school type stuff like
Hmm.
um, kind of the prison tattoo stuff. Um, that's all I've ever really known.
Yeah. The prison tattoos are its own kind of style, really. There's a lot of it that
Yeah,
almost looks like pencils, like markings, because
yeah,
the needle they're using is just one. So it has like a
yep,
really sketchy vibe to it, which is kind of
yep.
interesting.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I'm not one. I can't afford a crazy tattoo like I want, but
yeah,
uh, the I think I just like the old school vibe, even if it's a terrible machine or
hmm
not so much a terrible artist. I just that old school vibe is what I like.
yeah, and I think I have to agree. I mean, I'm I obviously I've loved all different kinds of styles and played with them, but I keep finding myself come back to the just American traditional. The kind of thing sailors
Hmm.
did. I mean, right at the
Hmm.
start, bold lines, bold colors. It's great looking. I love it.
Yep. Yep.
So I think
Yeah. I
old
mean,
school tattoos, man.
and just kind of going back to like our not our roots, but just kind of how tattooing started in America and
Hmm.
just that old school, like just a random. I think is kind of where we're at with it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I see a lot more American traditional popping up again. I'm really excited for it because I think they look good no matter how many people have the exact same. This contradicts
yep.
my argument earlier, but I think just American traditional is one of those ones where no matter how many times I see the exact same panther or the exact same bald eagle, it always
Oh
just looks great.
yeah.
It looks great.
Yep. Yep. It does. It does. And I mean, we've learned so much through technology, and we've been able to change the machine so much better. We get some crazy, but you get those crazy, awesome like realism, and but you can still throw that old school into it, and it
Yeah,
makes it so much nicer.
yeah, it's really
But
great.
yeah,
Alrighty then. I think
yeah,
that's going to be it for us right now. Um,
yep,
Make sure anybody that's listening to kind of follow through. This is kind of going to be what all our podcasts are about. Just talking about some cool stuff that we find interesting. We got plenty of topics to go ahead. Just follow it, like it, share it around. It's much appreciated.
definitely, definitely. We're gonna do not Well, we're definitely random. So I think,
Yeah.
well, I don't know what our next topic is, but
Yeah, the next topic could be
kind
like,
of just,
I mean, it could be anything. Like we said earlier, World War II. It could be, I don't even know
yep,
what next. Cooking, something
yep,
completely different from each other, but
yep.
we love it.
Well,
So
how about World War II cooking?
yeah, World War II
Let's do
cooking.
that.
That'd be interesting. Well, I'll look into it.
Trench war cooking. I'm sure there's not a lot on that, but we can do it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So stay
Just
tuned.
random.
It's gonna be great.
Yep.